Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR, HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Welcome to Radio AMB, designed for those who want to live a long and vibrant life. I'm Patty Schmucker, your host, and someone who's been in the beauty industry for over 40 years. Radio AMB, which stands for American Made Beauty, tells the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our feature segment sponsor for today is American Made Beauty, a beauty platform designed to help consumers find beauty companies that are implementing the industry's best practices to bring you quality products and services. Go to AmericanMadeBeauty.com and find beauty products and services that meet a strict standard that reflect the American heritage. I started in the beauty industry by enrolling in beauty school at the age of 17. Until my mid-30s, I worked every day of my career behind the chair serving clients. I believe that there has never been a greater need for well-run professional salons. Changes in our physical environment, people living longer and vibrant lives, as well as a whole generation growing up with technology that in some cases prevent people from being in touch with their minds, body, and spirits, are all resulting in new skin, hair, and body problems. Free radicals, air pollution, the thinning of the ozone layer are speeding up the aging process with the earlier appearances of sun damages, line, wrinkles, dry spots, dry hair, all associated with aging. Young people are becoming proactive about the future and that they face and the dramatic changes, and they know that it's important for them to value the planet and take care of their bodies. Everything that we're experiencing in the environment right now, with the anger, we just had a week that's horrible here in America, and it's time for us to really stand up and focus on really the positive things. I'm excited to have my guest today, who comes from 3 generations of beauty professional entrepreneurs that originated actually in Germany. Oliver Steinnagel, owner of Oliver's Salon in Kansas, was born with entrepreneurial DNA, learned the inside of the salon businesses from his parents and grandparents. During our feature segment, we'll hear how his early entrepreneurial success in an unexpected industry became the pathway to returning to the family industry of beauty. You'll learn about the elite industry organization called Intercoiffure and how one is selected for membership. During our In the Jar segment, you'll learn how Oliver has created one of the premier salons in the country with 3 core values for success. In our segment that we call Beauty That Soul Deep, we'll learn about Oliver and what his team is doing to give back, why they think it's important, and what they're learning from those efforts. And finally, in our Beauty Biz segment, Oliver will give us an update on crucial issues facing the licensed professionals in the industry, and as well as consumers, and how it will affect the quality of services for the future. So let's get started. Oliver Steinnagel is a 3rd-generation hairstylist, salon owner, leadership coach, platform artist, and entrepreneurial speaker for over 30 years. Oliver is on the board for the Professional Beauty Association, which is the largest trade organization in the professional industry. In his role on the board, he serves the Salon Spa section on the Government Affairs Committee, and he is a co-chair. He is also a member of an elite worldwide organization called Intercoiffure, and he serves on the board as a board member there in government affairs. Truly one of our industry's giants, his salon in Kansas aspires to educate their community by sharing their passion for beauty. Welcome, Oliver. I'm delighted to have you with us today.
Well, thank you, Patty, for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Oliver, was it your grandmother or grandfather that was a hairdresser in Germany that started the family legacy in beauty?
Well, it was actually my grandfather who started, and he started as a barber because back in Germany in those days you had to have barber shop had to be separate from the beauty shop.
Right, absolutely. And so when was it that your family actually immigrated here to the United States?
My parents came in 1963, and my mom was 5 months pregnant with me, so I'm really considered an import.
Uh-huh.
And so their journey began when they landed in New York with 2 boxes, 2 suitcases, and started their new life here in America.
And were they practicing hair already in Germany?
Yes, they had. My parents both had run the family business over there, and actually had one of the salons that my grandfather had.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided that they wanted to move to the United States after moving from Germany to Switzerland for a very short period of time, and being involved in a lot of championship hairdressing there. And so then they decided to come to the United States and did. And for the first 6 years, my mother and father worked for another gentleman here in town by the name of Pierre, who had a very large salon that had many stylists that were from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1969, they opened up their first flagship salon, which became then Salon of the Year in 1979, that had 67 chairs.
Wow, 67 chairs. That's huge.
It was gigantic.
Absolutely. And at that particular time, so what was it like for you? I mean, in 1969, you at this particular point, or even 1970, you're now, early digits, 10, 11. What was it like growing up and being involved in the beauty industry from a child perspective?
Well, it was very interesting because very early on, my parents always would take me to all the. Since I was an only child, would take me all the time to all the shows, the Redken shows back there in the Challenge of Success with Doug Cox and some of those people, Ann Mincy. I mean, I can go way back with them, and it seems like just yesterday that I grew up in it.
Right.
And I mean, I lived it every weekend. I got dropped off after school. The school bus dropped me off at the salon, not at home. And so I would fold towels until it was time for my mom to leave, and then we went home. So growing up in it was a pretty neat idea, but never thought I would do it for the rest of my life.
Right. So watching your parents, I'm sure that both of them taught you many things as you grew up, but was there some key lessons that you learned from actually being immersed like that and actually watching them run the business?
Well, what I probably really learned the most from them was that practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Without lots of practice, you're never going to be perfect.
Right.
Not that we're ever really perfect by any means, but continuing the education and learning and not trying it once or twice or 3 times and think you're good at it, but really dedicate yourself to it, because in those years, that was in the Sassoon years, and I remember that, when one hairdresser went on vacation, his clients could go to another hairdresser because that hairdresser did the same type of work and the same quality of work.
Right.
That the other hairdresser was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where I kind of feel sometimes we still lack a little bit today in what we're doing, is that we don't have a lot of consistency. And so, being consistent, being precise, understanding that you're gonna have failures and you're gonna have hardships, but you learn from those. And fortunately, we did, and I did too, and it's where I'm at today.
Right. And so, but early on, when you first, as you were getting into your teen years, it sounded like you weren't really sure that you wanted to go in the beauty industry. What was your passion at that point?
Well, my passion was actually fishing.
Okay.
To be real honest with you, there was a gentleman that his wife took care of me when I was a very young child, and he started taking me fishing, and then he had passed away, and then one of our sales reps, actually, who sold beauty products to our salon, loved to fish, and his kids didn't like to fish. And so Ed and I became father and son, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed and I enrolled in fly tying classes, and at the age of 10 and a half, after completing 2 courses of fly tying classes, they asked me if I would teach fly tying.
Okay. Now for our audience, what is fly tying?
Fly fly tying is like fly fishing.
Okay.
But the little flies that you use when you go fly fishing that are the imitation of like mayflies or nymphs that actually do the hatch on the water.
Okay.
So at 10 and a half, I started teaching fly tying, and at 11 and a half, they asked me if I would start teaching rod building, how to build your own fishing rod. So I got kind of immersed in that and kind of wasn't really involved so much in the beauty industry, and I really loved what I did, and I loved the person I was doing it with, which was really Ed, who was really a father to me. And so I started doing a lot of fishing, going to a lot of shows, and then I started working on how can I make my own lures that have my name on them. So at the age of 12, I started working on making bass fishing lures. And at the age of 14, I applied for 2 patents on 2 lures that I designed. One was called the Big O for Oliver, and the other one was called a Baby Buzz Bait. And so at the age of 16, I got the 2 patents on those lures. And some of the top fishermen, from Harold Inslee back then to Billy and Bobby Murray to Jimmy Houston, to all those guys used my fishing lures on their circuits.
Wow.
So the company was called OK Lure Company, Oliver and Klaus being my father, Lure Company. And so I did that actually every weekend after I got out of school. On Fridays, I packed up my car and I would travel 3 or 4 hours and go to store to store to store and sell my fishing lures.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so I mean, what was it that made you think that all of that was possible, that you could, that you would have the stimulation to say, I'm going to make my own, and no less than that, but to develop a patent about it?
Well, no is really not in my vocabulary. And for somebody to tell me that I can't do something is very hard, so I really push real strongly forward and take things on that are probably very challenging. And, of course, at that age, I really didn't know a whole lot of what I was doing. But just like I told my high school history teacher, what is history really going to do for me? Because I know I'm going to be in some type of a business, whether it's fishing business or what. And it was very early on that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And because at the age of 18, those 2 patents that I had, I sold those patents to Johnny Morris, who today owns Bass Pro Shops.
Okay.
So, I really, that driving force inside of me to always want to do better, be better, share what I'm doing with others in collaboration, I think is really important, because there's a lot of people that don't want to share. They feel so that what they have, nobody should know how they do it.
Right.
And, I think the whole world's changing in that respect. And even in our industry, we see this huge movement of more connections than we ever have.
Right. Yeah, and that's an important aspect. It's one thing to be successful, but if you can't engage other people, that doesn't really happen. And so you had this great success, and so how did that then circle you back into a pathway into the industry?
After I graduated high school, that summer, I had a fishing store down in Branson, Missouri, and used to take all the entertainers down there fishing. And I think it was August of 1982 that I sold my 2 patents to Johnny Morris in my little fishing store that I had down there in Branson. And my dad looked at me and he said, "So what are you going to do now?" And I said, "I really don't know, because I really wasn't a school person." And I said, "You know what? I'll give this hairdressing thing a try." And needless to say, here I am 35-plus years later doing what I really enjoy doing, and that is just sharing.
Right. And so was the craft easy? I mean, had you been around it for all your life, but now all of a sudden getting your hands in it, was learning the craft an easy process?
I believe it was easy for me because I had worked with my hands by tying flies.
Ah, okay.
So that part of the hair industry was pretty easy for me. But I was more of a teacher and an educator than really a behind-the-chair salon person. And more of the business end was my dad, who was a phenomenal hairdresser, who, absolutely phenomenal. He could cut hair. People would wait 5-6 hours to get their hair cut by him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I decided to get into going to beauty school and afterwards getting out of school, I had such great opportunities. And the first one being is that since Vidal and Beverly were really good friends of my parents, I had the opportunity to go spend 6 months in California in Santa Monica,
okay,
in Rodeo Drive, and actually stayed in their house for a couple of weeks till I could get into the apartment that I had rented in Marina del Rey. And so it was at that point that I saw that there was so much more out there,
mm-hmm,
that I was like, okay, I want to set the world on fire, and how can I do that? Well, I had the opportunity after I came back to go to work with Paul Mitchell and Jean Bra and Stephen Jewell, and that's when we had Shampoo One, V-Conditioner, and Sculpting Lotion.
The very beginning.
The very beginning when we had jewel setters back then.
Uh-huh.
And I traveled with Paul and the team for about a year, maybe a little bit longer, and then I decided it was time for me to move on, and I went to work for the Weller Corporation for 9.5 years and educated all over the world for them. And still in between working in the salon, and keeping my craft up and my clients up there, and even still today I have some of those clients. So it was very, all of that life of the industry, of the teaching, and not that I was really any better than anybody else, but some of the techniques that I had I felt were important enough to share and collaborate with other people that maybe that would benefit them in what they're doing.
Right, right. What an amazing journey. I mean, and really it wasn't because you had like that artistic, necessarily that perspective to it, but that it was more that you're wanting to share and give back. I love the fact that you were able to take that transition from making the ties with the fishing lure and being able to see how you were able to move that craft into hair design. And when you think about your journey, what do you when you talk about somebody who's new to the industry and wants to sort of get involved? What are some of the things that you tell people were critical to your success?
Well, probably the biggest thing, Patty, that I say to the students today is you never learn enough.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think you've only been once or twice, and you said, oh, I've seen that before, or I've done it before, and it hasn't really done anything for me. Today, I've gone to so many events that I've been to 10, 15, 20 times,
mm-hmm.
maybe heard the same message, but finally maybe something clicked a little differently, that, people go to me, well, haven't you been to that so many times that why would you go again? Because if you continue to open up your mind and your soul to new, to stepping out of the box, you're going to find something out there that sets you apart from the other person that's down the street.
Right, right.
I remember when I left my dad's salon to open up my own salon, everybody in town thought I was crazy because he had 4 very large salons,
mm-hmm.
200 people, and they all said, well, why would you go in competition with your father? And I said, big mistake is that I never went in competition with him.
Mm-hmm.
Nor have I ever been in competition with anybody else. If people would worry about what they do and not worry about what everybody else does,
mm-hmm.
they will find so much more success in what they're doing if they would believe in themselves.
Right. Well, and that's the key, but really, really believing in yourself. Now, that led you also, you were selected to join Intercoiffure. Tell us a little bit about what Intercoiffure is.
Well, Intercoiffure is a worldwide organization that attracts the top 2% of salons throughout the world today. And my grandfather was an Intercoiffure member. My father was an Intercoiffure member. And then I decided that I wanted to be an Intercoiffure member. And to be a member, you have to be sponsored by 2 other existing members. Back then, you had to actually do models.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you don't have to actually do models. You show your work and your business practices today. And really, it's about connecting with other like-minded, successful people. And to be involved in that, and at the level now that I've been a board member, I'm going on my 2nd term, so I'll have been 6 years when I finish this term. As a board member, it's been very, very, for me, inspiring because we have several organizations within our industry.
Mm-hmm.
But to try to collaborate and bring other organizations together and not be fearful of, oh my gosh, we can't let them in or have our members or what have you. And that's why I've worked very hard with Intercoiffure and PBA to help join forces and be more collaborative and do things together, because we are such a huge industry that has so much to offer.
But both these organizations, the Professional Beauty Association and Intercoiffure, they really represent the world-class best practices of the industry. And do you find that what do you think are some of the things that we need to do to stimulate and get more people to want to participate at that level?
Well, the biggest thing that people need to be aware of that we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that people aren't as aware as they should be. And once they're aware of who we are and what we are, they need to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing, is because, when we have numbers of people in organizations that have a voice, it will definitely help our industry become and stay professional.
Right.
If we lose that licensed professional,
mm-hmm.
we're in a lot of hot water, because why have schools? Why have salons?
Right, right. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in our final segment. So we're going to take a break, and it's very exciting to hear the story. And many of our listeners are both consumers as well as professionals. But the feedback we get is they're always fascinated by the various different pathways that people have taken. So it's very exciting to hear that even though you came into the industry because of your parents, you really took a different path, and yet ultimately found an exciting opportunity here in the industry. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back when we come back, we're going to talk about In the Jar, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the success, the core success strategies that has been key to Oliver's success and his salon. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm Patty Schmucker, and we're here with Oliver Steinnagel of Oliver's Salon in Kansas City. As we start this segment, we call In the Jar. We often talk about ingredients that differentiate one brand over another. Oliver, a few weeks ago, I interviewed Neil Dukoff of Strategies, and we spoke in depth about the differences between salons who employ staff as compared to salons that are booth renters and that type of thing. To have a salon that's thriving in the current market takes real talent and commitment. What's the secret sauce that's allowed you to experience success in owning a successful salon?
Well, it's from day one, Patty, it's been three things that I have just said over and over and over and over again, and that is our image, our reputation, and our education within that we provide our guests and that we provide our staff is the key and true things that have made us successful today.
Mm-hmm.
And when I start with image, I want to start with that because that's really our brand. And over 26 years of business, we've had to change that image several times to continue to be the new person in the marketplace. And, it's always a scary thing when you do that, but it's not scary when you feel and believe in who you are and what you represent in your community. And if you're a strong individual in believing in what your image should be and you stick to that and your principles are very important in that, then that image started day one is continues to grow and becomes more successful as every year goes by.
Right.
Our reputation, the beautiful thing is that when I did start, I did have my parents who had a great reputation, but that's not what I wanted to come off the coattails of. I wanted to come off the coattails of Oliver Steinnagel, not Klaus and Erica Steinnagel.
Uh-huh.
And how did I do that? I did that because I went out and I met people. I got involved at an early age with other manufacturers and taught and was able to meet the Neil Dukoffs of the world, the Paul Mitchells, the Sassoons, the Tracy Hughes, even the new people today that are out there. It is so inspiring for us to have the reputation that our staff gets and receives the best of the best, but not only them, also our guests that come in every day.
Right.
So, that to me is very, very important. But the biggest key to making that key actually turn those three different places, the image, the reputation, is the education.
Right.
Because if we don't give good education to our guests and to our staff members, what are we going to be tomorrow? We're going to be the lost soul. And we don't want to be the lost soul. We want to always be on the cutting edge of who we are in the industry and what we are. I'll never forget a saying. When I was a kid, we used to go to this fishing resort, and it was called Gaston's on the White River.
Mm-hmm.
And their phrase was, "It costs no more to go first class."
Mm-hmm. Right.
And my dad used that in the 70s and 80s, and today I still go there and go fishing occasionally. But when I think about that, what price do we actually put on first class? It's all about that experience, because you don't know what people are going to spend or have to spend to receive the best experience that they could.
Right. But what does that mean? It costs no more to go first class. So what is that? What is that? How do you decipher that?
Well, and when I think back early on, a haircut at that time in the 70s was like $14.50.
Mm-hmm.
Was a lot. But it's kind of like, you get what you pay for.
Right.
So I say the same thing. I just had that conversation with another person that wanted to come to work for us, and I said, you just remember the old phrase is that you get what you pay for. So our prices might be a little higher than the person down the street, but why do we have those prices higher?
Right.
It's because we're able to do it.
Yes. And so when I look at these three, and you talk first about image, and then you made several changes over the years. How did you know it was time to make the change?
Patty, we do it every year.
Okay.
We make some kind of change every year in our salon. This year, it's redoing all the lighting,
okay,
LED lighting. I never dreamed I'd buy a chandelier for a salon for that price that we just hung up last week. But just in the week that chandelier has hung there, the response from the guests and our staff members has been, I mean, I couldn't pay for it.
Right.
The response we've had.
Interesting.
So, when you continually keep your image and your reputation fresh in front of others, people always want to come back to see the new.
Right.
Where a lot of people in our industry, they wait till it's run down and then they do a whole remodel. We remodel every year something. And that's how we keep that so fresh in everybody's eyes.
Right. And how when you talk about reputation, I love what you said, that you weren't worried or didn't want to move out into the industry on the reputation of your parents. You wanted to create your own, and you did it by getting involved. I oftentimes hear people say, but I'm not comfortable with networking. I'm not comfortable with getting involved. How do you help people overcome that?
Well, when I was young, I was a very shy person, too, and I didn't like to get in front of people or talk or anything like that. What the most important thing is that most of us get too comfortable within our box, and we're scared to step outside of that box. And even if it doesn't feel good, step outside of it. I tell people all the time, give it a try. Introduce yourself to somebody, because you never know what that introduction may lead to down the road. Or, in this case, you reaching out and asking me to be a part of your show. What a connection that was. So I think that people get so complacent in their little box, but they never want to step out. And if they step out more often, they'll see that there's so much more in this world today. It's not just about the business part. It's about your own personal adventure that you want to have in life.
Right. And I think the other piece of that, that's so powerful, is that we just get really comfortable in our box, but it's like a muscle. You've got to exercise it. And so in the beginning, it may not feel real comfortable, but if you do it, then you're able to, it gets stronger and stronger. In our last minute, can you touch on the education piece? You talk about educating the client. Give us one or two things that you do with regards to the focus of education to the client.
Well, education of the client really is important in the fact that all of our service providers have to explain what's new to the guests that we have in the salon, whether it be a new product, whether it be how they should be styling their hair to make it easy for them as it is for us, so that they can go home and duplicate exactly what they've gotten at our salon, so that it's easy for them the next day.
Right.
So, it's that conversation that we don't want to have, that we have to have with our guests, because if we don't have it, Patty, guess what? Another salon service provider at somewhere else will do it and give it to them, and then people make a change. Right.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we will talk a little bit more about some of the ways in which Oliver and his staff are giving back in the community. So don't go away. We will return in just a moment.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap state. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm your host, Patty Schmucker, and we're pleased to have a third-generation hairstylist, salon owner, leadership coach, platform artist, and inspirational speaker, Oliver Steinnagel. In this segment that we call Beauty That's Soul Deep, we want to talk a little bit about some of the ways in which Oliver and his salon staff give back. And Oliver, I know that you do a lot of different things. One of the things I thought was interesting when I was looking at your website was you have your own hair care brand as well. Is that true?
Yes, it is, Patty.
And what's that called?
It's called Oliver's Euroline System. And we've had the products for right at 10 years now. And I decided about probably 12 years ago that I wanted to have something that I knew wasn't going to end up on another shelf in a drugstore. But I also wanted to carry on the legacy of my family salon that had their own product line. And so when I came up with the name of it, I didn't want it to just say Oliver's. It's Oliver's Euroline System. And the Euroline System is where my family came from, which was Europe.
Right.
The second is that's exactly what my dad called his, was Euroline System. So I thought that was kind of a neat little piece of history that I wanted to continue on as our legacy in our business.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the way that you've built your business is really leading from the heart. And tell us a little bit about some of the other things that you and your staff are doing in the community to give back.
Well, a lot of things that we do, Patty, and it's not just me, it's my wife that takes a big, huge part of this, too, in our business, is that we do a lot of things in our community, for cancer victims, for Locks of Love nationally, also for a company called Operation Barbecue Relief, that is a very interesting and different concept because they have their world championship barbecue guys that all have jobs that decided about 6 years ago when the Joplin tornado came to go down and serve food. And now they have traveled over 27 states and continue to feed people in major national disasters. So they've been a big supporter of ours at the salon, and we of them also. But the feeling between giving back to somebody like that, or the Susan G. Komen, or the Cancer Action, that is our local group that we've done, and over the years the several of thousands of dollars that we've donated, is that for us it's the staff giving back to our community, because in today's world we face so many challenges and so many things that are happening in our world today, whether it be race or whether it be somebody wearing a uniform or what have you. For us, it's that connection that it doesn't matter who you are or what you are. Be who you are. Just be you.
Right.
And when you just be you, you can give back, as we do to the Ozone Home for Boys. We go cut their hair for them, or We have underprivileged kids that have come to the salons and women that are trying to rebuild their life back so that they can get a job. You know, it's those little things that I feel like really for us and our team at the salon has brought them to a higher level today.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and in this time of our history where there is so much anger, my staff and I were talking about it this morning. You know, at the core of anger is fear. And being able to connect communities and being able to talk about these things. What's going on in our country right now is not reflective of the majority of Americans, and we really want to use this platform to talk about that. And so many people in our industry give back the way you're doing, Oliver. What do you think are some of the things that you've really learned as you've taken that time to bring your staff up to another level and connect to the community? What are some of the key lessons that you're learning along the way?
You know, I think for me personally, Patty, one of the biggest things is that, you know, throughout our lives we're always taught about how you need to have money to succeed and to support and to do. And 5 years ago we went through a very tragic thing in our business too. And in that 5 years, I learned that I didn't need what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'm a much happier person for giving back more than I ever gave back before over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel most people don't know how to do because they always want more, and instead of really sitting back and looking at really the needs of what other people really need.
Right.
And if we can give back to more of the people that need versus us that want, I think that sets a totally different tone in your mind thought and in your heart.
Right.
And if you can do that, whether it's, you know, one of the girls at the salon a couple of weeks ago said, hey, I'm going, she goes once a month to this underprivileged boys' home and cuts hair. Do we have any extra product? I'm like, you bet, because we donate every year to the women's shelter product. You know, I pull out a whole box of stuff and says, here, take this. And she goes, oh, my God, you know what this is going to do to them?
Right.
It's just ask. And you know what? So many people are afraid to ask
mm-hmm.
today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something interesting. You learned that you didn't need what you thought you needed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I think for so many years and for so many of us, whether it was the little horse that was on your polo shirt versus the purse that you carried alongside of you, does it really have to have a label on it
mm-hmm.
to meet the needs
right.
that you really need today?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it more because you want to impress somebody? And I think we all go through parts of our lives where we try to do some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the older you get and you think, oh, yeah, what do these people really know? But the older you get, the more I think you really realize you don't need those things.
Right.
You know, if you have a good heart and people see that you have a good heart, you get so much more back.
Yeah, I was listening to a story about a gentleman who was on a plane that came a number of soldiers, and none of them were buying lunch because now in the airport you've got to, you know, the airlines, you have to buy your lunch. And so he went and he bought lunch for all of the staff or all the soldiers. And after a while, the stewardess came and thanked him. And when he was leaving the plane, a fellow passenger gave him $25. And when he was in the baggage claim, somebody else gave him $25. And it's that whole idea that you give with no expectation of getting anything in return, and it comes to you in just waves, not having any idea of what it really ultimately means to you.
Well, I will say that we just recently, and this is something that I've honestly really have never even shared with anybody, but just recently there was a person that was in not the Army, but in our services, and needed to buy a new car. And I just said to him, I said, well, you know, if you buy a GM product, I'm happy to give you whatever points you need off of my card. Well, he was able to use $1,000, and I said, it's for you, thank you for just asking.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And this is what I love about our industry. There's so many of these stories of different ways in which our industry is giving back. Thank you. We're going to take another break. You're listening to AMB, where we share the secrets behind the beauty industry. Stay with us, and we'll be right back.
about beauty, it's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap state. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Hello, this is Patty Schmucker, and I'm your host on Radio AMB. You're listening to Radio AMB, where we share the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our segment sponsor for this segment is Free Your Mane. Free Your Mane is a hair and body care line specializing with baobab oil, and you can find Free Your Mane online, and that's spelled Free Your Mane is M-A-N-E, and you can find them online and also at Anthropology stores. I'm here with Oliver Steinnagel, owner of one of the premier hair salons in the country, Oliver Salons in Kansas City. In this final segment we call Beauty Biz, we want to turn our attention to a real threat faced by the beauty industry. Oliver, tell us a little bit about what's going on with licensing and regulations for the industry.
Well, Patty, there's a couple of components right now that I truly believe that not only the consumer should be aware of, but also every licensed professional in our industry needs to be aware of, is that deregulation is one of the biggest and fastest things that is approaching our industry, that we no longer will have to have a license to do what we do. The question is, would you go to a doctor if he didn't have a license to give you what he can give you to make you feel better?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Right.
So for us, the deregulation would really take away from our industry, because why have schools today where people are getting trained, and the training today is so far superior than it was 15, 20 years ago? Mm-hmm. It's more like going to college now. So for the deregulation to pass, that there would be no sanitation requirements, any requirements for educating and continuing education, would be very, very harsh on the consumer.
Right.
Because you could, look at how many nail salons not that many years ago, people would go into and they get funguses in their feet because the pedicure tubs weren't cleaned out correctly.
Right.
Right? And so, for us, that would just lose the professionalism that we have worked so hard for. And unfortunately, we should even work harder in the United States to be more like Europe is in that sense, because in Europe, our profession is a degree, and I mean a degree of high standards, versus, you're just a hairdresser here? Mm-hmm. But how many of the hairdressers today make an income of over $100,000? There's several of them. and there's a lot of people that don't make that kind of money having big executive jobs.
Right.
So the deregulation is really important that we all stand behind that and make sure that that doesn't happen. And it did try to happen in Indiana. They tried to get it passed the end of in 2014. And then last year, a couple other states tried to get it passed. It hasn't passed. We've been able to keep that out. But also the beauty working group, which is to help the schools have a consistent number of hours throughout all the schools in all the states.
Mm-hmm.
But they continue to have education and have license reciprocity from state to state a lot easier than it is in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because today sometimes it's so hard for somebody from another state when they move to another state to get their license moved over. So for us, and having that national testing be the same throughout the United States, I believe is very, very important.
Well, and I think this is really at the crux of this issue, is the fact is for consumers to be aware that it is important that the people who are working on them are, number one, licensed and trained not only in the techniques but also in sanitation, because that's a huge aspect to it. And second, that they're working in environments that are appropriate to be able to dispense the chemicals that are used in these various different services. And as you mentioned, in Europe, there is much more that goes into a degree or into the industry to train people, and we're in this country have worked very hard to up the bar in terms of the quality of education that's going on within schools. I mean, the Paul Mitchell schools is a great example of a network of schools. of Ada, there's a number of different companies, Sassoons, that have really created top quality education. What do you think, Oliver, is some of the things that consumers as well as licensed professionals can do in order to make sure that their states know how important this aspect is?
Well, probably one of the biggest things I feel like the consumer really should be aware of is go to your professional salon to have your services done, to somebody who has a true license, that if there is an issue, you have somebody to fall back on versus going to a kitchen beauty shop or somebody that's working out of their basement. I think is so important because the consumer really doesn't realize the amount of work that so many of us, and same with you, Patty, have done in this industry over all these years to make it as professional as it is and keeping it the way it is. And by that, making sure that guests go to very clean salons, that their staff go to continuing education and go to great schools like you mentioned, the Paul Mitchell, the Aveda, the Sassoon.
Mm-hmm. And I think, when we had Neil on, we talked a little bit about this. I mean, here in California, of course, we have a huge booth rental situation, and we have even the Uberizing of beauty where people are having services, calling and having services done in their salon or in their homes, which we understand, and we think. I mean, personally, I understand the evolution, and that there's not going to be just one model. But the key is that you're working with at least a licensed professional, and I think the added bonus of being associated with a licensed establishment like a salon like yours, Oliver. I mean, what are some of the things that you're doing with your staff to make sure that they, number one, are educated, and number two, if there's a problem, that the consumer has a way to be able to bounce back to you? How do you handle those kinds of situations?
Well, Patty, from day one, I've believed always in you get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
We have invested from the day we opened up the door into having a full-time housekeeper on board. And the compliments that we receive every week on how clean our salon is. I went to another salon down the street, and it was horrible. And, your salon is just always spotless, and you're always changing things. Making people aware, your guests aware, and our staff does make them aware that we spend a lot of money every year to keep our salon clean.
Mm-hmm.
And that also allows us not to be able to have diseases or infections that clients may be able to get. Because how many salons have you gone into that they use the same hair cutting cape all day long on 10 different guests?
Right, right.
You know, in our salon we use a new cape, a new towel on every guest.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those are the things that I think that the consumer isn't really probably aware of as much as if you make it a priority in your business, you will gain so much more back for investing in certain areas of your business that people will notice.
Right.
They do notice that.
Yeah. So as we wrap this segment up, regulation and deregulating for the industry means that the service quality is compromised. So from a consumer's perspective, be aware, ask the person who's doing your hair if they are a licensed individual, if you're not seeing somebody in a salon, but definitely to keep this industry strong, go to a professional salon because, after 40-plus years of working in the industry, I know that I get a better service if I'm going to a salon, a person who's associated and part of a team, than if I'm dealing with one individual in a booth rental or at an at-home situation. So, Oliver, thank you. It's fabulous to have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you. If people wanted to reach out to you, how would they reach you?
They're happy to either email me at osteinnagel@kc.rr.com or call me 913-302-2324 or call the salon, Oliver's Hair Salon in Overland Park, Kansas.
Great. Thank you very much for being with us, and that will do it for us today.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. All right, so tune in with us next week. My guest will be Stephen Moody, who has been at the epicenter of the global beauty industry, first with Sassoon and now with one of the largest beauty companies in the world, Procter & Gamble. Send us your questions and comments to requests@American Made Beauty. I'm Patty Schmucker. You can hear Radio AMB on healthylife.net. Thanks for listening to Radio AMB, where we think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty.